ကျော်တက်ဖို့စောင့်နေပါပေါ်ရရပါပြီခေစီရတရားတွေလာမှာအခုတည်းကမလာသေးဘူးဆိုရင်နှစ်ခွဲမှစမှာပုံတော့မရတော့ဘူးကျွန်တော်နောက်ကြောက်ပါအေးစားမရှိဘူး Oh damn bro The Coca one.
Came here to see. Okay. Yes, that's right. Thank you for being here. This is our last session of Creative Space 2024. It has been an incredible show, and of course, we wanted to end it on the highest note possible. All around amazing guys. Welcome.
Holy cow, there's a lot of you here. Thanks for being here.
It's cold up here. Where's this breeze coming from? I'm not too cold. Hey.
I would like a blanket.
Does someone come snuggle me? I'm just joking. Let me just start. So, I came and spoke at this last year. It was wonderful. And I was talking to Sony this year. Any creative field. It applies when you're a YouTuber, it applies when you're a photographer, if you're a painter, if you're a writer, any world where you're a creative person looking to exploit your creativity as a profession. And that's a really unsexy way of characterizing it, but that's what it is.
Incredibly, yeah.
Incredibly.
And scary.
It just destroys all the romance, but it's what it is. And like the most cynical take on this is that in the course of my lifetime, I've met hundreds of people vastly more talented than I am. They're all broke, and they all have some day job that's sucking up all of their time, and they most likely will never be able to make a living at their creativity for myriad reasons. But I think one of them is I have a cynical take on this, but there's also a very virtuous take on this. I just don't subscribe to it, which is I think seeing your art as something so precious that this isn't something I want to make money at, or this isn't something for that, this is just something I do as a passion. I respect that, and I understand that. If that is your goal, is that photography is my passion, then like, fuck yeah, like do it. I will follow you on Instagram and like every photo you post. But if there's any aspirations to turn it into a living, like this is how I want to be a professional photographer. I want to make videos for a living. I no longer want to work for another company. Then I think it necessitates an appreciation of what that takes, which is, half of your energy has to be going to being a business person, to figuring out how to turn what it is you do into something that generates revenue. And that's awful. That is the opposite of artistic expression. That is like ones and zeros, nothing romantic about it, nothing sexy about it, and something that I think, especially if you're a truly creative person, there's a natural aversion to embracing that. But I'm very, very focused on that because I think it's something that's so often neglected. When people say, but my videos are so good, my photography is so great, my paintings are so beautiful, but I still have to work at this shit job every day. And it's like, this is what's required if you want to do that. And the percentage I gave you was 51% and 49%. I don't remember which side of those two it fell on. Believe it or not, I don't have a short answer for this. So my main favorite camera is a Sony.
Yeah, same.
There are two people back there and they're pointing. That's not true. It is true that I use Sony, but I think like we reached this kind of critical mass. I'm speaking as a YouTuber, but we've reached this critical mass in camera technology, and I think we probably hit that place like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where it's like cameras are so good. They are so unbelievably good that they've reached this really romantic place, which is that for the most part, the gear can get out of the way and you're no longer held back by what you have or what you don't have. So for me specifically, like I still use the A7S III. Is that still your best like video focused? Sure. Low light? No? Becca begs to differ?
I have thoughts, but go ahead.
Okay. The reason why I like that camera is it leaves me wanting for nothing. And I'm sure there are other cameras that satiate this, but like coming out with a new one, don't care. Like you should try this, it'll make it better, don't give a shit. We have this new model, cool. It leaves me wanting for it. It does everything I need it to do, and therefore it just gets out of the way. Cause like I hate gear. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to talk about it. It's not fun, it's not cool. One of the things that I'm most cynical about are people who fetishize gear. Like, it's what you can do with that tool that I'm interested in. But the gear's always sort of been this little bit of an obstruction throughout my whole life. Like, I shot on like a 640 by 480 video camera when I first started. I was really limited in what it can do.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
That sounds amazing.
And now there are no limitations. So when it comes to gear, like the A7S III is probably my favorite, and I use it all the time. But the camera that I do now, and I didn't even do this when I was putting out my daily vlog, is I mostly, when I'm out in the wild, I mostly use my cell phone. And the reason why I use my cell phone is I think that like, as we've reached this sort of apex of quality with cameras, where everything looks perfect, and by default, everything looks the same, is that we sort of, consciously or subconsciously, we yearn for some sense of like, context with the aesthetic of what we're seeing. So like you said, bring it back. Like if you shoot, and I have one that works. I have an old Handycam that's 640 by 480. When you shoot on that, immediately you have this feeling of nostalgia. Like there's a depth to that. I love that. Like I like to shoot on my cell phone because it looks like every clip that every mom has ever filmed of their kids in the last 5 years. Like you see cell phone footage, you're like, oh, cell phone footage. And you're immediately sort of, again, consciously or subconsciously, it just feels casual. I trust it. Like if a creator makes this amazing, beautiful video about their family, and it's like shot on like 200mm lenses with shallow depth, it's like, I call bullshit. Like I don't believe that your wife ran through that rose, like field of rose petals. Like this isn't what a family video. You shoot it on a cell phone and you're like, yeah, I got the same shot. And there's something relatable about that. There's some depth to that. So I have this sort of new formula that's a default. I don't think much about it. But when I'm out in the wild, I like the way my phone looks. I like the way the digital zoom looks, how it's all fucked up and hard to recognize. I like the poor audio. I like using a selfie camera that doesn't look as good. I put out a video last week about running the New York City Marathon, and every shot of me running was crowdsourced. So people would just post the video on Twitter, and then I would like rip it off of Twitter. So every shot looks different. Some are cell phones, some people had a big camera out. One person was like on the roof of a building at like maximum digital zoom, and I'm just like 6 square pixels in the middle of the frame. And I made no attempt to try to beauty it up or color correct so they all look the same. Like when you're watching that, it feels like you're looking, like you're thumbing through Instagram and you're just seeing a bunch of someone's shitty cell phone clips of people running the marathon. So there is this emotional relationship that we have with the aesthetic that the camera gives. And I think that like, now that every shot is perfect, delivered from every camera, there's a much higher pedigree, there's a much higher value being placed on being able to be distinct with what you shoot.
I agree.
Do you have your $49 camera?
No, I left it upstairs.
Becca,
I was really worried.
Becca made a video recently and she shot...
Well, not yet. It's coming out.
No, but you shot recently as a video review of the first iPod mini that you could shoot video on.
5th gen iPod Nano. It's the greatest one they ever made. Yep, it will explode in your pocket. So don't let that happen. But it has a video camera that only shoots video. It does not.
What's the resolution?
I think it's 480p. It's got a
photographer, storyteller, and he came to New York a few months ago, and like the Osmo is like his main video camera, and like his thing is the beauty of his videos. And I'm like, that's what you're shooting on these days? And he's like, yeah, don't tell anybody. So don't tell anybody. But I think it shows like how far you can push new technology and the opportunities that it presents.
using the thing. and then it will kind of tell its own story to me. Like if I'm having fun with something, I'm going to talk about how much fun I'm having. If I'm not having fun, I'm going to talk about how I'm not having fun. And I just bring my personal experience to the device. And with cameras, it's the most fun because you can actually be filming yourself while you're using it. So filming like myself, I'm doing an earbuds review right now, and that's much tougher because it's just me sitting there. It's not so visually fun. But with that, it's like I can talk about the ear tips are squishier than most, or this case, I fiddle with it a lot, and I start to notice the nuances with each device. But above all else, and what I'm trying really hard to do, and saying it out loud here will maybe hold me more accountable, is I want to tell you all more about me through these devices. Like I love tech, and so why? And I'm gonna start exploring more of myself and the people in my life and the places I go with tech. And I think that's how you can really make things unique. And that's something you've definitely done. All of your work is about your life.
I think that's a universal truth that is often misinterpreted on YouTube, which is that, you know, in order to be distinct, people need to be subscribed to your perspective. And there's certainly a spectrum there. Like I have delved into the most intimate aspects of my own life, but like, you know, if we're gonna pick on Marquez a little bit more, like Marquez is just a tech YouTuber. He never crosses that line. Yet I feel like I know him through watching his content, and therefore I trust his perspective because I know his perspective. And I think that's like, that is one of still like the sort of biggest opportunities on the platform is if you're able to share with people who you are and whatever that might mean. And it certainly doesn't just mean like by sharing intimacies of your life, but if they're able to access who you are and then trust who you are, they'll come along the ride with you no matter what that ride may be. Which, like I said before, I watch Marquez's videos, regardless if I care about what it is that he's reviewing. And it's because I care about him. And therefore, like, I'm signed up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Of course.
That have an exoskeleton built into them.
Nice to meet you.
And they, like, allow you to walk through.
Be why? Maybe I need. ဒီတော့မှ Kit Haring Gallery တခုရှိတယ်ဒီမှာကျွန်တော်တွေ့လာတော့ကျွန်တော် Kit Haring ဆောင်းကြိုက်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီကောင်နေကြတော့လေပိတ်လာမဟုတ်ဘူးဘယ်လိုလဲဒင်းမလုပ်လိုက်တယ် Kit Haring ဒီကောင်နေကြတော့လေကျွန်တော်ကြည့်ရပြင်းစရာကြီးတယ်တိလားဒီရဟုတ်တယ်ခုနဟိုဘက်ကဒင်းမလုပ်လိုက်တယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်ကဒီကနေပြီးတော့ကြထားခဲ့ကိုအကြာကြီးပြန်သွားအောင်မပိတ်ဘူးဒီမှာဒီမှာKit Haringဆောင်းကြတယ်သူ့ရဲ့ artwork တွေကျွန်တော်တက်တူးကထိုးဖို့စဉ်းစားထားတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ဒီလိုလာကနေကျွန်တော်အချိန်မရလိုက်လို့KCကိုတွေ့ခဲ့တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့ဝက်ပြီးတော့အကောင်တော့သူ့နာပြုံသွားပြီတက်ဝင်ရကြဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်လည်းတိုးလို့မပေါက်ဘူးလုံးဝအဲ့လိုမျိုးရိုက်ရမှန်းမသိဘူးပြီးတော့သူအချိန်ရအောင်မယ်ထင်လို့ပေါ့နော်ဆက်နေအောင်မယ်ထင်လို့သူကကြောက်အဲ့လိုမြန်ပဲ2-3လောက်ရိုက်ပြီးတော့မြန်ဝင်သွားတယ်အဲ့တော့အချိန်မရလိုက်မရိုက်လိုက်ရဘူးနောက်တော့လမ်းမှာတွေ့တော့မှပဲရိုက်တော့မယ် best day ever ဒါ3កောင်မြောက်သူနဲ့တွေ့ရသူလည်းမဟုတ်ခိုးကာဝင်ထဲမှာတွေ့လိုက်သေးတယ်ပြောရကောင်းပါတယ်ဆိုတော့အိမ်ပြန်လိုက်ပါဦးမယ်သူတို့လည်းအမှန်တမ်းပြောရလို့ရှိရင်ဒီကျွန်တော်ဒီပွဲမှာရလိုက်တာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လူတိုင်းထပ်ပန်တဲ့မင်းနေကြမင်းကုန်းနေပဲပေါ့နော်ဒါတွေကပဲတကယ်တော့ဂီယာနဲ့ content တို့ဒီမှာဂီယာအရေးကြီးရလားကင်မရာကောင်းသားရှိမှရိုက်လို့ရတာလို့ KC ရလည်းပြင်ဖြေရလည်းဒါတွေပဲသူ့ရဲ့ podcast တွေသူ့ရဲ့ video တွေမှွေနှောက်ကြည့်ထားတဲ့သူတွေကဒါတွေပဲသိရဗျဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်မြင်မှုကျင်တာပေါ့နော်အပြင်မှာတိတိကျကျအကြာကြီးမြင်မှုကျင်တာအဲ့ကြောင့်မသွားတာပြီးတော့အဲ့ပွဲတခါမသွားဘူးတကယ်တော့ခေါ်လေးပါတွေပါရင်တော့ပုံမိုက်တယ်တကောင်နဲ့ကြောင့်လည်းပြင်းဖို့ကောင်းတယ်ကျွန်တော်ဘေးမှာခောက်ကာဝင်ရှိရဗျာသူနဲ့ခဏတော့စကားပြောလိုက်ရတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဟိုအကြောင်းဘာကြောင်းညာကြောင်းလေးပေါ့နော်ဘာမှတော့မဟုတ်ပါဘူးဒီမဲ့အေးဘယ်အောင်ဘယ်မှာရောက်တာလဲဘာလို့ပေါ့နော်အပြတော့အစောကြီးပြန်သွားအဲ့ဘယ်ကတော့ရေး nice တယ်ဆောင်းမှသူကကျွန်တော်baby KC လို့ကျွန်တော်တင်ထားတာပေါ့နော်သူ 好了说都在小弟啊，就是那些也发育啊，比如那个苦茶台部门那个保护 ，reference 台部门那个保护，比如那个那个color grade， quality 不买的，其实就企业行的品质一样嘢的，哎，都係唔好。企業行的一樣嘢的多咗，都係嚴重嘅咯。後邊就地下嗰種 cinematic life visa， 會擺到裏面仔掉咗。個 life visa 係擺 friend 咗，先。嗰個時候買的，對吧？所以他呗，就我就他給入去，你別可能就一次就喺邊就咩，就嚟人A嚟，幫我哋唔殺啲。ပြန်ရောက်နေပါပြီအိမ်မှာငငယ်ကိုစောင့်ရင်းနဲ့ဟင်းချက်မလို့ကျွန်တော်မှာဝါသားနဲ့ထားရပါတော့ဒါမဲ့အမကျွတ်တုံကြီးတစ်လုံးပဲရှိရပြီးတော့ချင်းလိုနေရတယ်ချင်းငငယ်ဝယ်လာလိမ့်မယ်လားဒီကနေကျွန်တော်ကမိုးရွာနေလို့လို့ပဲမှားလိုက်တော့ငငယ်ပြန်လာအဲ့စားမယ်စားပြီးမှရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့အိပ်ပါတော့မယ်ဘာမှမရှိတော့ဘူးမနေ့ကညလို့ရှင်တယ်ပဲ8ပါစနေစီအလုပ်ကြီးရဆိုတော့မနေ့ကညမှာကျွန်တော်ပြန်တွေ့ပါမယ်ဒီနေ့ကတော့ပါပဲခင်ဗျာကျွန်တော်စားလဲတော့အောင်မှာမဟုတ်လို့ပေါ့နော်စားလုပ်ပြီးအခုဟင်းရင်ချာမယ်ချက်ပြီးစားမယ်စားပြီးမှစားလုပ်ပြီးတော့မှအိပ်ရမှာအဲ့လိုမျိုးနေ့တော့နောက်ကျနေပြီ9 နာရီဖြစ်နေပြီပေါ့နော်ဆိုဖိုင်ညာလုပ်ပြီး10 နာရီလောက်ဖြစ်သွားမှာပဲဘာမှမထူတော့ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်နောက်နေ့ကျရင်ပြန်တွေ့ပါမယ်တဒါ